We've been following closely the progress of a Marconi museum or centre or something to celebrate Guglielmo Marconi in Chelmsford, which of course is where he set up his first production, really, and that's where it all happened, where radio started in Chelmsford. Well, the man behind the team, the team behind the team, have just launched a fundraising bid to try to make this centre happen, and Chris Neal is from the Marconi Heritage Group, and he joins me now. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, Dave.
How is it going with you? Because last time we met, you were just about to launch, weren't you?
We were, and indeed we have now launched, and there is a website now called Marconi Works, W-O-R-X, which your listeners could Google, and they will find our fundraising on that website.
Now, you're doing crowdfunding on this, aren't you?
We are. This is a crowdfunding website, and remember, this is to save the original Marconi factory in Hall Street, the one where the wireless set for the Titanic was manufactured. And indeed, guess what? It has suddenly become very topical because the BBC exclusively reported just the other day that there's a bit of Titanic memorabilia up for auction.
What is it?
And it's a label from a parcel that was due to go on the Titanic before it sailed. Didn't quite make it before the ship sailed. And the parcel was from Marconi's Wireless Telegraphy Company, Hall Street Works, Chelmsford, and directed at the Marconi operator.
And
Isn't that just amazing?
It is amazing, and it never made it to the ship. Wow. And that, I suppose that just gives a small example of the huge benefit that Marconi gave to all of us.
It certainly did, both to the world in bringing wireless to the entire world effectively through their ability to manufacture equipments and so on, but also of course directly to Chelmsford for all the people that have been employed over the decades.
Now, you want the centre not just to be a museum, you want it to be a living museum, don't you? Can you explain that to me?
We do. I mean, obviously it will be there to celebrate the history, and we'll have artefacts and exhibitions and so on. But an important aspect of it is to set up what we would call science clubs, STEM clubs. And it's highly relevant to the conversation you were having earlier about what the children do during the holidays. It occurred to me that instead of spending 40 hours doing selfies, you could spend 40 hours in one of our science clubs and actually learn how to make a camera to take your selfies. That's the kind of thing that we would be doing inside that building. So you would have surrounding you all of the things that Marconi and his industry had done, showing you what can be done, but actually inspiring the youngsters, because what we need actually in order to make the economy grow in this country is people inspired to do more science and engineering, because this is a scientific and an engineering world.
And it's a very exciting career, I would have thought.
Absolutely. I mean, there are many of us that have spent our entire careers doing that kind of thing, and I'll tell you, there is never a dull moment.
And you can work all over the world, which of course is a very great benefit these days, isn't it?
You certainly can, and you know, we do not want to leave it to the Chinese and the Indians to determine all of the things that we're going to use and benefit from in the future. You know, we have got a massive intellect in this country and capability to do these things ourselves.
Chris, how much do you need to raise?
The amount of money we have to raise is £382,000, and this is to get a piece of the Hall Street site. We've got 67 days to make it happen, so that's the way crowdfunding works. You go in, you make your pledges, and if we can't raise the money by that date, then all bets are off.
Wow, is that actually possible?
We're now in a race.
Yeah, we really are.
To get this, to get the funding in place. Obviously, we're working with the developer, but the developer's got a time scale to do the things that he's got to do. So there are deadlines that we've got to meet. If we can't, then we don't get it.
67 days. Have you started already?
We have, yes. It was 70 days. We're 3 days in.
How are you getting on?
Right, as I look at it at the moment, £6,000 in there right now, but we've got a lot of things going on to boost that, we hope, quite considerably.
Quite frankly, I don't think £2,000 a day is bad at the moment, is it?
No, it's not. And we know that a lot of the old Marconi people are clubbing together to put in a reasonable bid, because as people will see when they look on the website, that you get different types of certificates and things depending on the amount that you put in. And if you put in more than £500, you get on the Roll of Honour. So you will be remembered alongside all of those other great people that have been involved in the Marconi company.
And I really hope this doesn't happen, but if you don't actually make the 382,000 in the 67 days that you've got, so nobody has to give their money then?
No, they don't. That's the way the pledges work.
And will that be the end of the project?
I can't. No. Well, we obviously are aiming for success, but no, I can't see. I mean, with the amount of interest that we've generated, we've got effectively a Friends programme, which we've spoken about before, called Back the Bid. We've got something like 150 names already on that exercise that we ran as a precursor to going out for funding. So there's 150 people there. We've got a patron. The patron is Tim Moulton, who is a Titanic author and historian. He's our patron. We've also got as an ambassador Tim Wander, who's written several books about Marconi in Chelmsford and what the Marconi Works did in Chelmsford. So we're building up, if you like, patrons and ambassadors and so on to help the fundraising.
Chris, every time we talk, we say the same thing, that we're both annoyed, because if this was America, that the whole town would be getting, we'd all be profiting from it, wouldn't we? The whole of Essex would be profiting from it, bringing tourists in. We would just make this thing sing, wouldn't we?
We would. We certainly would. And one of our aims actually is to we're having some conversation with the Titanic Museum in Belfast, and one of the things we'd like to do is put Chelmsford on a route of where people go around to sort of look at where bits of the history of the Titanic were from, just as an example.
Yeah.
But the good thing is we're doing this now under the auspices of the Chelmsford Civic Society, so that brings you the Chelmsford Civic breadth to this campaign.
Right, so £382,000, 67 days. Once again, how do people get involved in this? Because this is our heritage we're talking about.
It is. It's very simple, as I say. If you Google Marconi Science Works, and that's, as I say, that's WORX, you will immediately find on the top of your Google list is the website that you go into, and then you will see exactly what you've got to do. It's very easy to do. I've made my pledge. It's not difficult to do at all.
I want to bring Shirley Ann into our conversation, because she's a Molsham girl. Hello, Shirley Ann. Nice to speak to you.
Good morning, Dave.
Now, what's the problem here? What's the point you'd like to make?
Well, I also take, obviously living in Old Molsham, I have the Old Molsham magazine. And the thing that really annoys me, and it's so silly, is that there are thousands of people who don't have internet access, haven't got a computer, but we would like to put some money towards this. There's no address, there's no telephone number.
Right, that's a very good point. Okay.
Chris, what can you do about that?
Well, yes, right. We will address that. Off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure, but we will obviously through that magazine. I think what we need to do is set something up in the Molsham area where people can make a contribution, maybe through one of the traders or something like that. We'll thank you very much for making that point. We all get so used to being on internet enabled these days that we just sort of forget about these things sometimes.
Shirley Ann, will that work?
Marconi kicked it all off.
Absolutely. And for anybody who doesn't know the area, we're talking the Molsham area. It's a very old, very historic part of Chelmsford, where the first factory is actually based. Shirley Ann, will that work for you?
Well, that would be splendid. And to the wider audience, hello, there's people out here would buy your product if we could only reach you.
All right, Shirley Ann, thank you very much indeed. Chris Neal, thank you to you as well. We'll keep you across that. We'll keep you in touch with what's going on there, because it's, if you've got an asset like the place where Marconi first set up his factory in the world, to actually produce this stuff that saves lives and is instrumental in all our communications these days. Boy, have we got to make the most of it. I mean, you know, they've got a Marconi statue in Chelmsford. If you're in Southend or Houston, or you possibly don't know this, but there's a Marconi statue in Chelmsford. Now, where would you put that? Where would you put that? You'd put it right slap bang in the centre of the town, wouldn't you? Yes, you probably would, because he was so important to the town. No, they tucked it behind a block of flats near the Civic Theatre, where nobody really goes. So that's all a bit odd, isn't it, really? What do you think more can we do? I'd like your thought on this. What else can we do to commemorate Marconi, celebrate Marconi, remember Marconi, and more to the point, as a county, profit from Marconi?